How's everybody doing? I'm doing really good. It's been a weird week. My computer exploded on me, which was less than perfect. Cool. All right. Learning lessons. So yeah, some of the lessons I've learned this week are back up your stuff. I had to buy a new computer. Now I can embed videos and things, so that's gonna be fun. I'm going to do some of that. That thing where people watch Ben Shapiro make an idiot of himself and be like, haha, you're Ben Shapiro, you're making an idiot of yourself. I'm pretty excited about being able to do that. So I got a silk purse, turned it into a sow's ear or something. I don't know what I did. I did a thing. That's all that matters. We still hear about people like Ben Shabibos just did a thing about woke incorporated and insulting the idea that like humans could want to have a workplace that was free of terrible things. Like that's silly. Who thinks these things? I don't get it. I genuinely, like, from my experience, I don't think it's asking too much to have policies in place that say you can't sexually harass your coworkers, for example. And Shapiro clearly believes that this is the result of the toxic left with their sinister leftism lefting up businesses, and businesses are terrified they're being held hostage by their desire to make money and not be ruined financially, which is hilarious because he is the one who organizes boycotts against things like Gillette and whoever else, everyone they can to try and imply that these are evil corporations that deserve to be destroyed. So yay Ben. Having been in industry, I can tell you that that's not the situation. I will say that HR departments tend to be very stocked with progressive people, or at least people who on the surface are very progressive. And I do believe that's out of a certain necessity of that job. Most companies don't hire an HR department with the intent of having people that they're going to, be able to send in to fire a town's full of people. I mean, that's a sociopath that you need in that role, and that's perfectly fine and stuff. But when you're talking about like a typical HR department, primarily what they will talk about is the importance for dignity. Ensuring the dignity and the safety of the people that they're working with, which is a perfectly lovely concept. A little creepy when you start thinking about the practical realities of it. HR departments, their role is to make sure that sexual harassment isn't happening, that people are not being discriminated against. But more importantly, when people are fired, they're fired with dignity. And the reason they're fired with dignity is not because of progressive stuff. Hey Nate, how you doing, buddy? It's not because of progressive values and a desire to ensure the care and feeding of people who no longer work for you. It's because when you fire people badly, they show up with guns and kill your staff. HR departments figured out that that's actually really bad. It's certainly, if the staff are worth keeping, it's probably worth not having them getting shot all the time. When HR departments are woke, what they're doing is they're protecting their self-interest. When corporations release videos about how Gillette, the best a man can get or the best a person can get, and all of a sudden they're speaking in praise of trans rights, for example. That's a thing where it's actually kind of a disingenuous thing where people are putting on a face, right? Gillette, they don't honestly care as a corporation about trans rights. They care about public perception of the organization. Fine. If the public in general is becoming more progressive, they will become more progressive. If we were in the midst of a rise in like actual fascism, like it was taking over and taking control, yeah, protect the brand, exactly. If we were in the rise of that, those progressive messages would be really downplayed and a lot more about nationalism or what have you. Corporations are essentially like shitty human beings. their whole job is to make you not want to hate them. Remember that Pepsi commercial 4 or 5 years ago that backfired? Are we talking about, because Pepsi's had a lot of backfiring advertisements. Are we talking about the one with, was it one of the Jenner children that like handing out flowers to, this is a great opportunity for me to play with my new laptop toy. So we're going to watch that video together. All right. I'm going to search here on Jenner Pepsi commercial. There we go. I really genuinely don't remember much about the Kendal Jenner apparently is the person in question here. Oh, I'm muted on my desktop audio. There we go. Sorry about that. Wait. If we look, Kendal saw things and was moved. Oh my goodness. What did Kendal see? It was people walking by. And they were walking by holding signs. Join the revolution or love or something. And she was like, "Oh my goodness. I have to care for a moment because I'm a very, very special person with a can of Pepsi Cola dappled in moisture." That's just weird. Oh my god, how sick. Look, it's a token Muslim person. Wow. An ethnically diverse group of protesters, which, if you talk to my people of color friends, doesn't happen. White people generally tend to stay home. This is a long ass commercial. Kendal's figuring stuff out. Wait, those are real people. And there's a guy with a cello, and he's sort of hot. Did she seriously just like rub off her makeup because she's like, I'm a real person. I'm not a billionaire right now. I'm just a human being. And there she is amongst the mass. More Pepsi. It's a good thing this wasn't a voting thing because the laws that the Republicans, like her mother, are trying to put forward would actually prevent anyone from having Pepsis available for other humans at a voting line. So protests, I guess, are okay. Gives the Pepsi to the Popo man. Just a radical thing. Live bolder. Live louder. Live for now. Fuck off. Oh my god, that's just something. I can stop that now. Yeah. So that's the the gist of what we're dealing with is these ridiculous appeals to I Am Canadian says equity, diversity, and inclusion training is the current diversity, equity, and inclusion training. That incorrect or acronym wasn't quite right. I don't know what the handing a Pepsi to a cop. Kendal cares with Pepsi, of course. Self-made billionaire this year. I find the Jenners amazing. That people keep implying that in some way they're like amazing self-made superheroes, and you're like, wasn't Caitlyn wealthy as fuck? And weren't her children wealthy as fuck? So like, yeah, they may have businesses that are successful and personal brand empires that are successful, but it's like, yeah, that's probably not starting from the same foot as me. I started a little bit farther down the pole than Kendal Jenner might have. If I handed a Pepsi to a cop, he'd probably beat me to death with it, mostly because all cops are bad. The thing that frustrates me about this sort of perspective is this idea that somehow corporations are like actually kowtowing to us regular folks who are becoming more progressive, and that's not actually the case. What they're doing is they're lying to us. They're contentedly lying to us. Pepsi doesn't give fuck number one about Black Lives Matter or whatever. It's not that corporations are woke. It's that corporations are manipulative. They're awful, and their whole goal is to just sell you on an idea that they're something special when they're not. Robert Kardashian was OJ's lawyer. Like Trump, the Kardashians started out as multimillionaires. Yeah, like it's really easy to be a multimillionaire if you start with a multimillionaire life, right? In the same regard, it was very easy for me to be poor because I was poor. So I was trained for this. It worked for me. The whole Kardashian thing, like I've never been a star fucker, and I have nothing against, you know, a lot of people get a lot of joy out of the whole like entertainment world and being excited about who the important people in entertainment land are, and I bear nobody any grief over that. I've just never cared. It's not how I'm wired. So when people get really excited about the Kardashians, and the whole like they are American royalty kind of thing, like I agree, and I don't give a shit about our royalty. Aside from, you know, holding them to account for when they do horrible things, which is fortunately all the time. So there's that. That's all we need is you know, Pepsi to tell us who to like and who not to like and how to get along. In a way, I think back to that Coke ad from like before I was born, which means a long time ago. It was probably in black and white. The one with the "I'd like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony." That was so adorably disingenuous, and it was like the benchmark of which all of these things happen. Was it from the 80s and 90s? I thought it was earlier than that. I know they redid it in the 80s and 90s, but I feel like there was actually... I think there was one in the 70s. I truly don't give a flying fuck about the Kardashians and Pepsi and the rest. They're just blatant marketing and bullshit. When they're able to comment... yeah, well, exactly, right? The Kardashians are a brand. And whenever I use the word a brand, what I want to do immediately is shower in bleach. Because... a brand is both like everyone has a brand, I have a brand, you have a brand, we're all branded. But like, can we stop having marketing speak like infect our entire worldview? Because that'd be awesome. They're an interesting one. Their whole branding concept is fascinating too, right? The McDonald's thing is they are not restaurateurs. They are a real estate corporation. And it just so happens, according to them, that the way to make the most money on your real estate investment is to have a McDonald's running on it. I think that's a really weird take. It works for them. Clearly, McDonald's is, you know, they're doing better than I am. Have you seen the guy from the second documentary, or have you seen the second documentary that the guy that did Super Size Me made? I don't think so. I know I saw they made a Super Size Me series that was one season long, and I did see that. It's a good watch. He breaks down the chicken industry and how easy it is to make an organic chicken burger joint or farm raised, all those ethical terms. I love those terms because they're not in any way legally protected, right? So, and you know, I used to get really snarky about the fact that organic meant carbon based, but even beyond that, there's no legal definition of what free range means, or, you know, when there have been legal definitions like fresh or frozen, the industry generally comes up with new terms to blur the line, like cold chilled, or I don't remember what they use. Cold pasteurized is a good one. You know what cold pasteurization is? Exposure to radiation, which I'm okay with, actually, because The purpose of cold pasteurization of your vegetables is to kill off E. coli. And it's not like you're getting glowing green lettuce that will give you mutant powers. It's just a thing. Okay. So basically, lean, finely textured beef, or ooftb. That's gross. Beef has a filler to reduce the overall fat content of ground beef. The product of centrifuge decay. Pink slime included claims that approximately 70% of ground beef sold in U.S. supermarkets contained the additive at the time. I personally, I don't understand what the big deal is on things like pink slime. It's, it's gross. But, like, we live in a gross world. There's gross things all around us. The McDonald's thing of, people always go like, oh, McDonald's has trademarked made with 100% Canadian grade A beef so that they can lie and be like, it's a trademark. I don't think that's actually true, but more importantly, if you want to say something is made with 100% Canadian grade A beef, you could take a giant stadium-sized sack of crap and take one little bit of grade A Canadian beef and stick it in the middle and just swirl it around. That thing is now made with 100% Canadian grade A ground beef. It was made with. It's not made entirely consistently from. It's just made with. It's terminology. And reasonably, if I'm buying ground beef, what I'm buying is mostly beef, probably some other goo in there, unless I'm buying it from a local butcher. I'm probably just getting, some fillers and some whatever else, and that sucks, but the world's the world. So, like, probably not worth freaking out about.